Yeah. The only problem is I gotta figure out how I'm gonna hold this shit while I'm doing the entire time. The good thing is, I don't think I am. I'm not gonna put a mount on it. I'm just gonna show what I'm gonna remove first. Like first is the motor mount. This motor mount, I'm gonna put the whole thing out.
Why don't you just get those mounts and every time you work, just fucking attach it right here to the hook clip.
I could. I just want on the top.
Use a wide angle and then it gets the whole engine there. I'll fucking get the head mount.
That would work.
So while you're working, you have a view of what you're working on.
Okay, this is the first time doing this. So I'm just gonna...
You never made a video before?
No. Not this one. This is a pretty long video.
Hi, my name's Andy. We're recording right now. There's Gay Darwin right there. Look at that fucking faggot. Piece of shit. I don't even know if I'm recording.
Got the mount off. All 14mm bolts. Computer gone the way. Bolts in the back. All 10s. So just 1, 2, 3. That one in the back, and then 4 down there. Just loosen it up. Put it just forward. Don't disconnect anything. Just pull it forward. 14mm. 2 of them. 1 down there. And 1 is on top of this. Pull the mount out. Next is the tensioner. Is right. Right down there. Your 14mm. Loosen that tensioner up. Take off the bolt. Power steering pump. Just move out of the way. It's one. There's one way at the bottom. 12mm. It's kind of hard to see. Right there. See that? Those 2, pull that off, and then the timing cover, 2 top ones after that. Alright, pumps out of the way, pick it up. Next is little timing covers. They're all 10mm. Same with that side. Gotta remove the tensioner. Gonna be that 1 bolt. Yeah. A couple bolts in the bottom.
Hey, did I take out the bearing?
I'll be right there. I don't think so. Get that back cover off. On this car, timing belt snap or something happened. Tensioner. No more tension on the belt. You can see. I'm able to move it with my hand.
Doing exactly $2.
Put in that box right there. This cover, 10mm bolt behind tensioner. We gotta remove that first before we take off this top cover. So right now I'm gonna rack it up, raise it up, take off the tire, and remove that tensioner. That way I get this top cover off. And then we'll go from there. There was 5 bolts on this tensioner on the back, all 10mm. That's about it. The tensioner off next. Alright, tensioner's out. There's that bolt that was under the tensioner. Tensioner bolt was that 1 bolt, 12mm, and the one on the pulley, 14mm. I'm gonna take off that 10mm bolt, but I think I'm gonna move the crank pulley first since I'm already down here. Once I get that pulley off, head back to the top and remove the rest of the cover. There's a special tool for this. Put it in the bottom in the description. But you need 1 for the bolt and 1 for the tool holder. And I have 2 extensions I'm going to use for better leverage because it's really tight. Pulley came off. You gotta wiggle it side to side to get it off, and make sure you don't lose this little keyway. It slides right in here, right in there. little square. When you take it off, just grab the sides, and just small wiggle, and it'll come off eventually. Kind of tight, but it'll come off eventually. Now for the covers, all 10 millimeters. All the bolts are visible. So from here on out, you just gotta pull them all out. When you are first starting the timing on the crankshaft set timing, make sure the keyway goes back in. The keyway has to go back in, or else when you spin the crank, this outer piece will spin by itself. It won't stay with the crank, so you won't be spinning. So make sure you do that. Make sure you put the keyway back in when you set timing on the bottom. There's also a little washer. This goes behind the timing cover. You can see the little grooves or the marking of the belt, so you know this side goes to the engine. Make sure you put that back on before you put on the timing cover. Got everything off, water pumps off, and I clean the surface using the O-rings. I won't need any silicone. Clean the surface up, put on the water pump, go on the new tensioner, new idler pulley, and then we'll start setting up timing. I'll show you guys the timing marks, and then we'll start installing the new belt. Okay, so the new tensioner is a pin you gotta pull out. Here's the old tensioner. The pin sits inside like this. You can just push it out with your finger. Comes right out. You should transfer that over to the new one and clean up the pin. Put some lube on it, and then insert it back into the new one, just like that, in the bolt. Alright, got the tensioner on, the idler pulley on, water pump on. The specs for the water pump I'll put down below. The camshaft is number 1 on there. You see that yellow line in the center of the pulley. It goes up to the edge of the pulley. I got my Sharpie and I just highlighted the tooth of the pulley, and there's a little line in the backing plate that you can see pretty clearly. That's lined up on the back. There's no number, but there is that little line. You can see it pretty good. Same thing with this one. I got my Sharpie, marked that tooth. I line it up to the back. It's all lined up. Right now I'm gonna go to the bottom and line up the crank. And then I'll start putting on that belt back on there. Alright, so see the little lines line up, line and line. That's with the crank, and just to route the belt, routing. It's a very nice little picture here. Let's just pause the video and look at it. Shows you all the marks, how they line up, and the routing. Alright, got the new belt on there. The bottom still lined up. I started with the crankshaft from the bottom, the belt on there, routed it up to the idler pulley, routed this belt first. I did go to the right about half a tooth to hook the belt, and then pulled it back to the left to line it up, reduce the slack on this side. From there, looped it under the water pump. Same deal for this side. I went a little bit to the right. I had to hold it with the wrench because it kept going to the right. If I let it go, it would just readjust itself. So I would hold it with the wrench. Went about half a tooth again on this one to the right, hooked the belt, went counterclockwise, reduced the slack on this side of the belt, lines up perfectly on this side, and right here it's all good. All the slack was on the tensioner. I pulled the pin on the tensioner and all the tension's gone now. I mean, all the slack is gone now, sorry. All lines lined up. Even the bottom right there, little arrow lines up. I'm about to spin it. Little trick with tensioner. If you have a new one, you have a pin here. You'll pull the pin when you have it adjusted. But on the directions on this car, they will ask you to use the battery holder to keep the tensioner off, or to help you put on the belt. But what I do, I just put on, I believe, this bolt on top. So when I put on the tensioner, before I fully install the belt, I only install this bolt about halfway through. So the tensioner is hanging off like this. And once I put the belt on, I have someone hold the camshaft on top with the wrench so it won't move. And then I press it forward and I install the bottom bolt, I tighten it up, and then I pull the pin. That way it's very easy to install the belt without having to fight the tensioner. That's the way I do it. But it's all good to go now. I just put it all back together.